Well, let's destroy any tension by starting off by saying that it is life-threateningly dull. Terminator is one of those classic things. Terminator 1, good. Terminator 2, better. Terminator 3, worse. Although I have to say Terminator 3 wasn't anything like as bad as it could have been. It's the old Godfather thing. 1, good. 2, better. 3,
and
not
going
as good.
down, wasn't it 18, 15, 12?
Yeah, exactly. 18, 15, 12,
so
which means in theory there should have been a PG. No, but it's a 12 certificate movie. And it exists solely because the money says it has to at the end of Terminator 3. The whole deal was, in Terminator 1, the Terminator was a killing machine. Terminator 2, he's a conflicted killing machine who turns out to be a dad machine. In Terminator 3, everyone's a machine. Terminator 4, directed by McGeeeee, the film is a machine. Now, if you cast your mind back to 5 or 6 months ago when there was the Christian Bale outburst, do you remember all this? It was all over the news and YouTube. It was that Christian Bale was on set doing a scene, and the lighting cameraman had moved some lights around whilst he was doing it, and he went mad, and he went into this great long rant about how dare you do this, I'm acting, and of course being Christian Bale he did it in character, in accent, because Christian Bale's accent is of course not actually American, but he does things once he's doing a character he stays in that accent, so he had a complete sort of ranting fit but with an American accent. And Michael Winner was on the radio. He was one of the very few people defending him, saying if that had happened on my set I would have done exactly the same thing, because when an actor is in the zone, when they're doing it, it's his scene, it's his big moment, blah, 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 blah. Of course they're going to get worked up because they're like De Niro, they're thinking into the role. There was also an interview with the producer of Terminator Salvation, who said that Christian Bale didn't want to come on board originally because he didn't want to just make an action movie. He didn't want to just do that because, he'd done The Dark Knight, and he's an intelligent guy. He's a very, very smart, if rather intense, young man. So all these indicators are, it's not just going to be a stupid action movie, because obviously he didn't want to do a stupid action movie. Plus, he was so involved in the role that when somebody moved a light around, he went completely mad. So before we get to the review, here is a clip. The plot is, you remember the end of Terminator 3? Well, everything got wiped out. This is now Terminator Salvation. It's the bit that you see briefly in the Cameron movies when the machines have taken over, but there's a resistance and the whole world is post-apocalyptic. And this is the voice that Christian Bale will do for every line in the film, whether he is ordering an attack or ordering some milk.
This is John Connor. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Listen carefully. If we attack tonight, our humanity is lost.
Command wants us to fight like machines. They want us to make cold, calculated decisions. But we are not machines. And if we behave like them, then what is the point in winning?
Command is going to ask you to attack Skynet.
I am asking you not to. If even one bomb drops on Skynet before sunrise, our future will be lost.
So please, stand down. Give me the time to protect our future that all of us are fighting for.
This is John Connor.
And he does the whole film. That's like that. Occasionally he gets a bit louder, and then he gets a bit quieter. But the whole film.
No, I can cope with that. Batman speaks in that kind of
voice.
No,
but okay, I think everyone thinks that in Dark Knight the Batman voice was a problem, because in Dark Knight they had made the decision that somehow when he was being Bruce Wayne he talked like Christian Bale with an American accent, but when he was being Batman he talked like that. He talked like somebody.
It was almost Yorkshire.
That's where he came from. But in this, there's a really weird thing that he's obviously gone into character, and he's decided that the character of John Connor will just deliver every line in that voice. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking, why would Christian Bale be in a Terminator when he himself has said nobody thinks that Terminator 3 is the best Terminator movie, so why do we need another one? I don't want to be in just an action movie. And, of course, the film is directed by McGeeeee, who's famous for directing the 2 Charlie's Angels movies. And he's famous for having said I brought this in just to prove I'm not making it up, said in the paper over the weekend, this is McGeeeee. This will
be a Guardian supplement, of course, which will surprise nobody.
No, but I just saw I'm not making it up. I was headbutted by Bill Murray. I mean, that, in a way, is the review of the film, right? McGeeeee is a director who's headbutted by Bill Murray. I mean, I can't imagine a circumstance under which you could actually get Bill Murray to headbutt somebody, but McGeeee managed to do it. Now, McGee's entire...
Can you stop that now?
No, I can't, because that's his name.
Yes,
okay?
we'll just say it
no,
ordinarily.
And he has said, one of the reasons people don't like me is because I'm called McGeeee. You go, no, you know what? There are so many reasons not to like you, and the fact that you're called McGeeee is actually the least of them. The reason people don't like you is you can't make films, right? Charlie's Angels and Charlie's Angels Full Throttle are like, let's play dress up and you can all watch and everything's got to cut every other second because there's no substance to it. And in fact, I'm an advertising commercials television director who just happens to have landed on a movie set and been given this great big dressing up box to throw at the cinema screen. And I remember sitting there watching Charlie's Angels and starting to get sort of mild palpitations, irritated. This was the way cinema was going. In the middle of Terminator Salvation, the only two things that kept me going through it, because it's so crushingly dull. I mean, it's explosions and crashes and hitting and shooting and hitting and shooting and shouting and explosions and crashes and hitting and shooting, and it just goes on and on and on. And the only two things that kept me sane were, why did Christian Bale do it, right? The money? Does he need? He just did Dark Knight, which is one of the biggest selling movies of all time. And secondly, why on earth is it that anyone would sign up to a movie that was directed by McGeeeee when it is clear from his past track record that, one, he can't direct films, two, his sets descend into, outright aggression, three, the script wasn't the script that he wanted to do in the first place because it was just an action movie and he wasn't sure which character he wanted to do, and four, that it was entirely the kind of situation in which he was suddenly going to walk on set one day. And here's what I think happened with the lighting thing, right? I think Christian Bale was on set and somebody moved a light in him and he just suddenly went, I've woken up. I'm in a movie directed by McGeeeee. I'm in Charlie's Angels 3. 1 minute I was considered to be one of the great acting talents of the generation. I've suddenly, it's like that thing you wake up naked in your maths exam. Everyone has that, right? Maybe not you, maybe just me. But everyone else has some, dream when you suddenly wake up, how did I get here? And I think that's what happened. I think Christian Bale literally woke up on set one day and went, I'm being directed by McGeeeee. And the knowledge of thinking, because I guarantee he knows not only that the film is rubbish, but that he is absolutely rubbish in it. And the only thing that held my attention... Is
this the fifth point, or is it
still
on four?
The end was looking at the face of Christian Bale and thinking, around the explosions and all the rest of it, I can see that look of absolute panic when somebody realises they're doing something that they really shouldn't be doing. A final point. The film is directed...
This is
the final point. Dedicated to the memory of Stan Winston. If you want to honour the memory of Stan Winston, go and hire Vengeance the Demon, a.k.a. Pumpkinhead.
Now, if you want to come to Cineworld in Edinburgh on the 19th of June as part of the Edinburgh Film Festival, we're doing a live show from there. Your last chance for tickets is the last batch, which is being made available now. This moment. This second. If you'd like tickets, you go to... now, just check that website. That looks rather strange to me. I'll just double check that. It's the BBC Tickets website, which is shows.external.bbc.co.uk, which I haven't seen before. But
it just trips off the tongue, though,
it
doesn't
does. So it's shows.external.bbc.co.uk/. That's what I've got there. That I imagine there will be details from the 5 Live website. Cineworld, Edinburgh, 19th of June. We're going to be there. Last batch of tickets.
Well, you could just Google him and her in Scotland and it'll probably turn up.
Ben in Aberfeldy. Thought I'd send you my thoughts on Terminator.
Yeah, please let somebody else. Terminator what?
Salivating.
Very good. What did you call it before Terminator? Savlon.
Savlon.
Yeah, Savlon. I think that's good. Savaloy, I thought you said Savlon, yeah.
First, I am Christian Bale. Hear me roar. Yes. Second, the film is a terrible mess and there was nothing in it I haven't seen before. Yeah. There was some suspicious CG in places, and aren't we all glad Arnold Schwarzenegger keeps a handy batch of mist floating gently over a certain part of his otherwise exposed nakedness. The last Terminator film was by no means a masterpiece, but was enjoyable and disposable. This incarnation, however, just felt as if it had fallen off the Jerry Bruckheimer robot film production line and then staggered shakily into a corner where it died a slow and painful death. This is a film which, ironically, has no heart. Jamie and Joe.
Can I just say that was very well written and very eloquent?
Thank you. I think I performed it quite well.
You did.
Dear Mark and Simon, we've just been to see Terminator Regurgitation and we thought it was really innovative. The first ever collage movie. Every single scene was from another movie. Yeah. We spotted The Dark Knight, a cheesy CGI motorcycle sequence. Lord of the Rings, Sauron's Tower. Apocalypse Now, the helicopters heading off into the distance. Transformers, big robot and with motorcycle legs. The Matrix, robot squids with the red eyes. Minority Report, the inside of Skynet. Alien 3, the monster at the end gets covered with the hot metal and then sprayed with cold liquid. It went on and on and on. It was like a game. In every single scene we were whispering, that's from such and such, that's from, but not necessarily in a camp voice. Also, Terminator 1, we won't spoil it. Terminator 2, the truck chasing the motorcycle. Anyway, I'm glad we got to see it before we heard Mark's review, because I'm sure he won't be able to review it without spoiling the surprises.
The very worst thing about it, of course, is it is like, and if such a thing is imaginable, McGeeeee is like Michael Bay's untalented cousin. And this is like a bad version of Transformers. And bearing in mind what I thought about Transformers, that is just about as bad as you can get. And I think one of the reasons, for example, I was so happy that we was talking to Ken Loach this morning, was just in the wake of something like that. It's just thank heaven for filmmakers like Ken Loach who actually want to make films rather than just make stuff on screen.